Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my world with Nat. I hope you guys are having a great day. I love this spot, and we're on second floor at Eastla Academy with Sean Bennett, director and founder of the school. Welcome back.
Welcome.
We are not talking school today.
No. Okay.
No, we want to really. We've met so many great people that are deciding to come down, and felt like that you have moved around a lot. You landed here how many years ago? 9 years ago. I'm sure things have changed from 9 years ago, would you say?
Yes, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be able to see the progress when I know a new person arrives and feels like there are things still lacking, and to have seen certain things come, but not like tremendously. I think when you speak to someone who's been here, there's a group of people who came about 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And they have a real,
totally
very different
perspective.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the parents that you're meeting right now, they're deciding to come in. What are some of the things that they're looking for information on? Mostly.
Yeah, a lot of people ask for, kids' activities, obviously, in school. People are concerned about healthcare and transportation. Obviously, people ask me about home rentals and the right neighborhood to live in. And then once you kind of get like that, there's people who are a step beyond, who are starting to ask more specific questions about things like electricity use or water and that kind of stuff. Little tips, things that you could advise them on, but little things to do or not to do to avoid any issues. Stuff to import. Some people ask that question a lot, like should I bring certain things or not bring certain things.
Peanut butter is expensive here.
Yeah, I mean anything that it's hard to, if you're from a country where the grocery store essentially has everything year round, and you have to start looking at things from a perspective of which of those things are luxury, which of those things are actually from where you're at, and here there are certain things that shockingly will feel like a luxury and other things that are just super cheap. So there's things that are much cheaper here than there's things there.
Well, wouldn't you say that goes on with adaptability, right? If you're deciding to move to a new country, you sort of have to adapt to what is going on here. Because right now we're in mid-May and we're going into mango season.
That's right.
So mangoes are at a prime.
They're all over the ground.
They're all over the place. You can grab them from a tree, and they're less expensive than they would be, or you just don't find them as frequently in the other months of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't spend.
And those are luxury back in Canada, right? And they aren't even very good.
We don't. I have 7 people in my house right now.
Yeah.
My 4 kids, my partner, and then a visiting teenage 18-year-old cousin.
Yeah.
And we spend very little on food.
Okay. Well, interesting. What is very little?
I think we spend probably in a month $600.
Okay. That's impressive.
Yeah, and
that's
we
$600 US dollars.
Yeah, I mean we eat at home. We cook almost every night. That might include even some of the going out. And then sometimes I read people who spend that much in a week, and I think it must be because of.
And do you have a particular diet though?
A particular diet.
Like more vegetarian. Like
I don't eat a lot of frozen foods or processed stuff.
Okay.
I don't drink a lot of off-the-shelf drinks or chips. I think that kind of stuff might cost a lot. We eat fresh pretty much every day. So
all the time.
Yeah, I think, and there's so much grows here that so many things are from here.
And what are some of the, for you when you arrived, and maybe now that you're observing, are some of the hits of the DR? Like, what are some of your
my favorite places?
Yeah, favorite places. People need to see or experience.
There are more than I can list. I love Jarabacoa. I love the mountains. I love. I went just recently over Semana Santa to the southwest.
Yeah.
And that's far, believe it or not. As far as it took a long time to
The
get
island
there.
is big.
It's much bigger than you think.
Yeah.
And it was just shockingly beautiful. The color of the water there was stunning. And it felt remote. There's desert down there. There's sand dunes. There's big cacti. I love Las Sirenas, of course. We have a school there. And I just think here there's so many little spots. I love there's a place in Hamal up in the mountains where you can do this big magic mushroom repelling.
Okay.
Not that type of magic mushroom, but it's a rock that's shaped like a mushroom and it has this massive waterfall. There's so many great beaches that you somehow, like, the rivers feel like this exotic trip. So whenever you find those spots on the weekend, I think those really are the
special moments. Yeah. And I think that one of the things that you talked about was the size of the island. So I have friends that just came down on vacation, and she was so excited to message me and say, oh my gosh, I totally want to see you. And I'm like, where are you staying? She's like, Punta Cana. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. She's like, why not? I go, that's 6 hours away.
Yeah.
She's like, oh. And I said, had you messaged me, we probably could have found you something nearby where we could have hung out. But, you know, for me, that distance is like going to Toronto in Canada. Montreal to Toronto is about a 6 hour drive.
Distance begins to, your perception of distance changes a lot if you move to another country, because I do think, I mean, I used to live in Atlanta, and it was really normal to drive 45 minutes to work. It was just not a big deal. And so you meet someone who, they'll tell me, these are parents, and they'll say, oh, I found a house, it's like 15 minutes outside of town. And I go, well, you know, it's not the same commute. You know, the morning radio, and you put it on cruise control and just pull in. It's a little different, and it's going to feel longer for you. And more
gosh, when we lived in Casa Linda, which was like up on the hill off Route 5, and if you forgot anything and you had to come back down the road, I used to think, oh no. And it's not even that long a drive. And then my husband would say, well, go to the Super Pola to pick up. I'm like, no, I'm just going to stop at the US one, which is like, I call it a glorified convenience store, because they pretty much have everything. And the shelves are always full magically, but I have a whole theory on that too. I didn't want to drive the extra, I don't know.
2 minutes.
2 minutes into Super Pola. So you're right, your perception of distance changes. Even today, I thought I had enough time to get here and go back, and I had to message and say I'm going to be late because, you know, it all worked out in the end. But it's only, like, we're in Cabarete, we're 12 minutes away? But if you get stuck behind 3 cars that are not going very fast, your 12 minutes is now turned into 20 minutes.
I wouldn't say it's like so extreme. I would just say, like, the two towns are really close, and so anything that kind of stretches outside of these borders begins to feel significantly longer. Puerto Plata it's really nice that Puerto Plata is so close to us, and it's super convenient for some of the, like, city things that you need. It's 35 minutes away, and it's what it is, and you know.
It is what it is, and honestly, we don't feel the need to go there, but I know I have friends that pretty much go on a weekly basis.
Yeah, there's a good hospital there. There's a couple of big box stores there that can be right. I used to buy my contact lenses there. There's a new place in town, so I think that's better. And we have to do our stuff with our cell phone company and internet there.
Okay.
Just because we have a
bigger setup.
School, so you have to do stuff like that. Better mechanics sometimes.
So what are some of the things that people who are deciding to relocate, in your opinion, need to be mindful of? Like, what are the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you ever catch yourself saying, well, in blank, in my hometown or in my country, it's like this, you should just stop yourself. It's not, you're not there. So when you assume behavior of other people based on your experience in another place, you're wrong. And I would say with the driving is an analogy of this, right?
Yes.
So
it's the one that comes up all the time.
I'm very relaxed driving here generally.
Yeah.
Okay. I drive pretty slow, defensive, whatever. But I just had my brother visiting, so he's here. He's gonna feel a different stress, mostly because he doesn't know what's going to happen, right? He doesn't know, and you can start to predict when someone's going to pull out.
Yeah.
So when you don't have that experience, there's no way for you to kind of be able to make those predictions. And if you and I are walking towards each other in the hall, there's this feeling that I go right and you go right, and we just walk past. But if we're from different cultures and it's left, and all of a sudden we bump into each other. So I think particularly people from certain countries can tend to get caught up in this feeling of, like, I have to secure things, I have to prepay things for a long time, I have to, and there really is a feeling, I think, from people who make their money in that industry here in real estate and housing and other things, that they know that. They know that about the clientele, and so they can take advantage of that. Oh, you really want this? You want your residency before you've ever arrived? I've met many people who have gone through the entire residency process before they arrived and either didn't make it, something happened in their family, got here and there was an emergency or something, and they spent like thousands for something that was a waste.
They didn't get.
Booked their house for a year in advance, paid the things, and just feeling like this is going to be the right thing for my family, because I don't want to make a mistake and I don't want to put my family out, but look, like, there's always housing here. You can always find something. You can go to a hotel here.
There's options.
Yeah, so just don't get yourself caught into this assumption that it's supposed to work like you know it to do.
So it's fair to say embrace the unknown.
Yeah, I mean, just know your first year is going to be your most expensive.
It'll be the trial.
Yeah, it'll be most expensive because you just don't know. And that's the beauty of it, because as you start to get to that space, which I think is what happened to you over time, when you start getting to that space, it's almost like you just found employment, because the thing that you spent this on is now this, or the thing that you used to believe had a cost is now free. And
and I think it's about I hate saying not being afraid, but embracing the opportunities. So yes, it hurts, that we had to move after 7 months, but I also saw it as a blessing or as a gift, and that's maybe part of who I am and part of my attitude, and that works. I have clients right now who are coming and she's like, I don't want to know about the unknown, Natalie. I want to know about the known. I want to know what's going to happen. I'm like, that's a hard one for me to predict for you. So I try and prepare people for, I try and be as transparent as possible so that they know you're going to get upset and you're going to cry some days, and some days you're going to laugh, and some days you're going to be frustrated with, ask me how hard it was for us to get banking done. We got it set up, but then the online piece, because I clicked one thing, that's what was not working.
Oh, anything involving bureaucracy here.
I cried
take it slow.
many nights, until the one day our property manager came over and I said, okay, Alex, what am I doing wrong? And he's like, well, you have to do this. And I'm like, that's it? And then it literally like a Tetris game. It just...
I mean, all disappointment, all stress is going to come from your expectation. So if you've placed some sort of expectation that's unrealistic or not possible here, you can you can just feel frustration in that if you want. But like if you come with less of that, less assumption of what it's supposed to be for you, and just let it be, then all the better. And I would make an analogy because I work with kids. There are a lot of 12, 14, 15-year-old kids who they know everything, right? They
I have an 8.5-year-old that knows everything.
They're really what's cool with the way they dress now, the music they like, everything that they're doing right now, they're always going to like forever, and the stuff that came before is right? And so, but that doesn't happen. And then you get to work with them over years, and you get to go, remember that? Yeah, and isn't that cool how like you're growing? We have this assumption that like we're going to grow, right? We're going to grow.
Yeah.
We're going to change because we are growing and we're learning all the time. And if you move to a new country for the first time, one of the most exciting parts of it is that you're new and you're learning again. A lot of times when we're in our own hometown,
but you have to embrace the learning.
You have to be like, hey, I'm coming in sort of at an infancy stage. What I think it is, I'm going to change, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm going to gain knowledge. I'm going to be better. And that's why flexibility with stuff like housing and other things like that give you that ability to grow faster. Because if you come up here and you make the wrong decision, that's fine as long as you feel flexible enough to do it. It's only when you go, I'm sorry, like in my life, I stick myself here. And
those people, unfortunately, I know some who've left because they not necessarily were able to embrace that sort of like flexibility and felt like, this is not going to work.
Frankly, that would have happened. That's not a DR thing, though. That's like,
no.
If you move to another community.
But I think when you're in a different country and it happens, it's so much harder to Because, I mean, listen, people have asked me, if we go back to accommodations, oh, you haven't bought yet. Nope.
No.
Because I feel like, A, I don't want that responsibility right now. That's not something that I'm interested in. B, I don't know what's going to happen in a year. What if we have to leave for some reason? I don't know. It's not what we want, but what if we have to? Well, at least if I'm renting, I can give a month's notice and say,
So
I
free.
gotta go.
That's what you like about here. It's free.
I don't. It is, and there's that sense of like we're responsible and we take care of our place just like if it was our own, and that's our mindset. And I think that helps us be here.
It's like also one of the best things about this place is that it's really easy to make friends from your own home country, to speak your own language, to find your own foods and all that stuff, and it's really easy, and you can come in here and be like, oh, well then I can do everything just how I was doing in another place. Having some of the other countries that I've lived in, like I lived in South Korea, was one of the first places that I lived, and you kind of recognize right off the bat, like you're not that. You don't know what you're doing. You're kind of helpless. You have to ask for a lot of support. You have to be very humble, and it makes all the weirdness feel like easier because you're just kind of knowing that. And I do think it's a trap to come here and feel like, oh, it's just like where I'm from, when the truth is you are in another culture, and actually like the expat culture here is it's its own unique thing too. And there are these little, Cabarete is one of the, I think, top spots in the world for this real mixed,
there's a lot of
small
different
town.
people,
I think it's really a beautiful thing, and there's other places like this in the world, I know that, but that creates its own thing, and it's beautiful. And I see a lot of people that they'll have I saw something today on Facebook, and I don't want to tell anybody's name out on it, but I saw someone propose, what if we did who would like to join forces with me to create a quiet zone in the downtown Cabarete? And it's like met with laughs because people say,
where?
How? It's just
how is a good one.
It's not that it's not an interesting idea or anything, but I think most people who survive here recognize what's possible, or what's not possible, and it's not like we're not throwing our hands up and accepting things we don't like or anything. We're just going like, you have to ride with these
Listen,
things.
when we arrived over a year ago, we arrived in Cabarete. We stayed at Hotel Relocation for one night. And I remember getting out of the taxi and looking around and thinking, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? Like, it was noisy, the motos, yelling. It was like, and when you go behind there, you're sort of like you're on the beach, so it's almost like another world. And now today I was sitting at Front Loop with somebody having lunch, and it's like I was right there, and we didn't dare leave that area because there was so much we didn't know, So I don't see Cabarete the same way I did over a year ago, right? My glasses have changed. We live there now, and we live in a gated community and still have access to the beach, but the perception changes.
I don't know.
So.
For me, I don't know how to put this exactly, but I spent several years in places that are far less developed than here.
Yeah.
Far less developed. I was in East
because
Africa.
This is a developing country.
Yeah, especially in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a lot of things here. I lived in a part of the Dominican Republic my first 2 years that probably no tourists and probably no one who are watching your videos is trying to move to. But for me, over some time, I become more comfortable in that space, and I don't know if that's because I'm.
But it's good to know where those spots are when you need to go there, that you can have them. Okay.
I like a little disorder. I like a little bit of noise, and I like a market that's a little dirty sometimes because it just feels less. I don't know. It just feels more authentic. I think would be the right.
So
word.
You shared some of the stuff that you like, the places you like. You have a couple like top tips. Like I know we've kind of skimmed on it. Like embrace the change, assimilate. Any other good tips like that you think that people need to?
Yeah, and probably that these kind of the social media forums and stuff, local forums are probably a good place to get started by not necessarily going on there and saying, don't go in there and say, hey, I've got a budget of this much or whatever, but kind of going on there and just like letting
feel it out.
Yeah, you're learning.
Yeah.
You're learning a bit about
it's a tool.
Yeah, let somebody else say that they want this and this and this, and kind of see what kind of market there is, because there are a lot of people that will help you, and there's a range. There's like a range of. I mean, someone asked me, what does it cost to live here?
Oh.
Well, look.
Yeah.
If
It's a
you
loaded
make,
question.
If you make $600 a month,
Yeah.
okay, you are in the top 20% of all salaries in this country.
$600 a month?
Yes. Okay? Top 20% of the whole country.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah, if you ask that question on one of these forums, obviously many people would say 600 is impossible to do, and yet I know many people that do it. I see other people that say you need a minimum of 6,000, you know, and I just think like where you're at in that range is really up to you, what you're comfortable with. I walk home every day from school. And sometimes I walk over a pothole, or I walk past, because this is not a gated community, and I walk past a piece of litter or something, and I used to get frustrated, and now I feel like it's my rent. I feel like I'd never be able to live in a beachfront community, in a nice house like I have, if it was perfect. If it was perfect, this would be out of my price range, but it's not. And so that's my rent. And if I wanted to make it better, then I can contribute to it myself. I can pick it up. I can pour some cement myself, and that's it. And I do think like also getting caught up in the idea that everything has to be furnished completely. There's a beautiful thing about building your life here and figuring out stuff. And also, you know, allowing really like beautiful opportunities to fall in your lap, because I have met a lot of people also, because there's so many expats here, when someone leaves, they often leave like everything. And I've met people who they've met you, you're leaving, oh, I'm so sorry to hear you guys are leaving. You have a car, you have a dog, you have a sofa, you have a TV, you have cutlery and all this stuff, and you end up getting it for very little and starting your life like feeling you're set up, if you're prepared to do that.
Yeah, I think that is part of the. Most of the people I'm meeting really do want something different. They want change, and there's like this minimalist sort of. Depends on what too, right? Because I have clients who are building new homes, so they obviously are going to need to furnish these homes. So that's a completely different conversation. But we came down here with 9 pieces of luggage. That was it. Okay. And I had friends that were living in our condoplex when we moved here. They came for 3 months, and they brought 10 pieces of luggage for 4 months. And she couldn't believe that this is all we brought. And I said, but I didn't need more. Like anything I needed, I knew that I could get here because we had looked it up, right? We knew if I needed an office chair or a desk, like there are places for you to get those things. I didn't feel the need to ship that down here.
It becomes like a bit of an albatross too, the more stuff you have.
Absolutely.
You also like, you are going to adapt. So we have a group of visiting student teachers that are with us right now. And I can remember, it's nostalgic to talk to them. They're hotter than they will be if they stay for a while. The mosquitoes are biting them more than they bite other people, because, by the way, they're going to bite you more because your food is different than other people. You smell different.
My mosquito bites have stopped.
Yeah, they're less than they're at the beginning. And, you know, just humans are, in this world, this is one of the wealthiest places in the world if you compare it to many other places. We are incredibly adaptable. You meet people who are so happy here with so much less. And what lesson you should take from that is that you can be happy and you can adjust to a lot of things. And I'm not saying to lower your standards or anything. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff that you have because other people make you feel that it's important. And here, my car is a little busted up, and nobody clowns that because I have a car, and that's pretty cool. And my roof had some leaks in it, but if I invite you over for dinner, I don't feel that I'm getting judged because, you know, we had to put a bucket over there in the heavy rain. And it's just like, boy, that's magic that I don't need to feel like I'm constantly keeping up with my neighbors. None of that stuff.
And I think that what sparks for me, and I've had people say to me, "You're so lucky. You're so lucky, Natalie, that you're doing this." And there was no luck involved. Like, we created this. We said we were going to do it. We found the place. We found the spot. And we're working to make this work. Like, it's not.
It's a hustle.
It's a hustle. It's not rainbows and Skittles every day. And I think that if you get ready to take that part on and say, yes, I'm going to live this, I'm going to adapt, you're going to have a great experience.
Having lived in a lot of, I had a stretch in my life where I did like 2 years in one country, 2 years in another country, and so on and so forth. And I used to work in a lot of places where there are other teachers and things. And this would be my final piece of advice. I would say a lot of people go, I think I'm just going to be here for 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And maybe many people who move here have that vision, right? So I'm not really going to do the types of things that I would do if I were here long term. I think that's a mistake because, you know, if you decorate your house, you know, make it feel like
home.
Buy that piece of art or that plant. Don't be afraid of that.
Make it your own.
Yeah, I just think because that's.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that our daughter moved into our new condo and she whipped that suitcase open and she placed all the things and she made the space her own, and I love that about it because it really feels like we took the room from the last place and put it in the new place, and it's good. And I think that's a great lesson. So much more to talk about, but thank you for doing this. If you are looking to relocate, make sure that you click on the link in the description, the calendar link, so we can have a conversation. If you are looking for more info about Isla Academy and you want to know more about the school and how the school is run and what the kids are doing here, make sure you reach out to the staff and they'll be more than happy to have that call. You can also check out our YouTube link below for that Zoom info call we did a few weeks ago. That was a really good one that you can get a lot of information from. But whatever you choose to do today, I hope you have an incredible day. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
See you next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks.